Feet of Loon. I'm Chris.
And I'm Wesley.
My smoky loon.
Oh, yeah, smoky loon.
Oh,
that wasn't the best.
Really great. It was amazing because you're going to get it in just a moment.
Yes.
Today, the temperatures are dropping outside, not so much in Texas, but they will
be.
be.
A little chilly.
It's getting there. It's getting there.
Yeah.
And so that means we've been doing lots of soups and stews, and today is no exception. We're doing our smoked ham and bean stew with kale.
I'm like,
what?
With kale.
The kale?
What the kale?
I know. Okay, so we're so excited. So this is really, really amazing. So let's just jump right into this. I'm going to turn this down just a hair. We'll get down to...
It's such a hearty, delicious stew.
It's the ultimate in heartiness.
I mean, it's got ham and beans in it.
I mean, you can't get much heartier than that.
Speaking of ham and beans.
Here we are. Oh, you mean the stew. Okay, so if we ever started a singing group.
Gosh,
okay,
yeah.
So let's talk about these beans. These are white beans. There are a whole variety of white beans. I went with some great northern white beans. You could also use navy. You could use cannelloni. You could.
These are a nice size.
I think they're a good size, and they're in white is just a nice.
Navy's a little smaller.
Taste and texture. Yeah, navy's a little smaller. Yeah. So I went with dried. I did a pound of dried, and you need to start this the night before. And so what I did was I put them in a nice large pot, and then I submerged them with water by about an inch or so. And you may want to. There's some that are faulty beans will probably float to the top and say, I don't want to be in your stew.
Yes. So those are the magic beans.
Yes. Save those for later. So then you want to let those sit overnight, and they're just going to soften, and they're going to absorb some of that water. And then you just drain them in a colander, and then you've got them.
You also picked out some more. Some of the faulty beans afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times after sitting in the water that long, they're going to shed some of their skin and some of the little, like and you see them. Right if that goes into the stew, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
It's just.
Or you can take it out if you want to.
Take it out. To kind of peruse them and take them out as you go. Now, of course, you can use canned. That's no problem. But I think that the dried beans just add another really depth of texture and flavor that can't be beat.
Totally.
So it's good. If you're going to use canned, then make sure you rinse them. Okay.
All right.
Okay. So now let's
hear what you're doing.
Okay, let's do that. Okay.
I'm Julie, your tour guide.
Thank you. You're doing a wonderful job. Okay, so now this is the basis of this incredible, the smell is already amazing. So let me tell you how we got to this point. So we started off, we're going comfort. So you save your bacon grease, right? Whenever you make bacon, your mom always had that tin can.
Yes.
Well, this is the time to pull it out.
Yeah, pull out the tin can.
The tin can of bacon grease. Now, I use 2 tablespoons. If you don't have bacon grease, you're not a bad person.
No, you can just use oil.
Use oil. You can use oil. You can even use butter. Or you can use a combination of any of those. 2 tablespoons. You get that over medium-high heat, and then we are going to build these flavors. So let me just go through this. We've got a cup of chopped onion. We've got a cup of chopped celery. We've got a cup of chopped carrot.
Which is the mirepoix.
Yeah. Okay, and then to that, we're going to add some garlic, deepening that flavor, and then we're going to kind of go a little down south and throw in some jalapeno. 1 minced jalapeno. Get those seeds out of there because you don't want it to be too overly hot. And then we add
some heat.
Add a little heat, just we're building that flavor, just like a 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper, and then we did a teaspoon and a half of kosher salt, a 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper. And and then I forgot to say the bay leaves. We threw in bay leaves. Now what I like to do is you let this simmer, and that bay leaves just really gets the taste sensation going. But then I don't want it because this is going to simmer for about 1.5 hours. To me, it becomes a little too overwhelming if those bay leaves stay in there for too long.
Take some of them out.
So what I do is I usually start with about 4 or 5, depending on the size. Fresh is good, dried is fine too. And then
can you just use 2 instead of having to?
You can. I've always done it this way, and I just think it kickstarts the taste really good. It's a good taste balance.
Well,
but anyway.
I say a Loon tip is just use 2 to begin with.
Oh well, thanks for the tip. Okay. Oh boy, what would we do without those tips? Okay, so now we are going to add
the ham,
let me do this is one of those things. This is ground mustard.
Stone ground
mustard.
So
it is. I mean, I gotta say, I love pretty much everything in the world that's edible. This on a sandwich to me is almost too much, but in a stew, it gives it that depth of flavor that just cannot be beat.
I love stone ground mustard to use for my pretzels too.
Well, yes, I know, exactly. So I didn't mean to be negative at all because I do love it. Okay, it's just by itself, it's got such a distinct flavor.
Yeah.
Okay, this is just a teaspoon of freshly chopped rosemary.
And now the ham of the ham and beans smoked ham, actually.
I know, you're such a ham.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're going, that is...
It tastes so good by itself, the smoked ham.
I know, and our dogs, Ebb and Flo, can certainly attest to that.
Now, is smoked ham readily available to everyone?
That's a great question, Rick. So it is.
I'm your tour guide.
You are. You're really touring us through this stew beautifully. It is. So this is only going to simmer for about 3 minutes, and then we're going to build it. Then we're going to add the stock. Yeah. So yes. So you can find smoked ham a lot of times in the deli section of your supermarket. You can certainly find it over where the pork area is in the meat department. Just get a good quality. Look for smoked. I've got some sort of like guidelines in the blog post that you can look like when you're picking. If it's been injected with too much water, then it's not as great. A lot of times, read the label. A lot of times you'll get that smoked ham and not realize that it's sliced. You could put sliced in there, but I like to buy a whole ham. This is 2 pounds. And then I usually remove the rind and then just cut it into cubes like this. And that way
you can control your ham bits.
That's right. Boy, I've been trying to control my ham bits for a long time. So anyway, do be careful though, because a lot of smoked ham does have salt that's added to it. So you want to be careful as you're adding more salt. Taste this as you go because it will salt the stew.
Right.
Okay, so now, doesn't that smell incredible?
That smells so good. So far, this seems really easy to do.
It's not hard. I mean, it really isn't. Okay, so now we're going to add, this is 9 cups. That may seem like a lot, and this makes a good, healthy amount, but this is 9 cups of good quality chicken broth.
Yes.
Obviously, this is even better when you make it yourself. And we've got the recipe on how to do that, and that's not...
It's so good. Homemade chicken stock makes the difference in everything.
It really does. Okay, and this may seem like a lot of beans. Now, we like our stew nice and beany. We like lots of beans. Like I said, this was 16 ounces. See, that's a good amount. That's a good amount.
Yeah,
I think that's perfect. I was going to say, if you're not a big fan of beans, then you're probably not going to be a big fan of the beans stew.
Yeah.
But anyway, so now what we're going to do is I'm going to crank this up, and we're going to bring this to a boil. Once it comes to a boil, then I'm going to reduce it just to a low simmer, and then it's going to simmer for 60 minutes.
Yes.
And then we've got this beautiful thing called kale. Kale was like, remember everyone was eating kale. It was
kale.
Kale. And we still love it. It's not as used as frequently now, but I think it works great in this stew. I think this stew needs some sort of a vegetable green leaf element.
Can you use spinach?
You can. The other great like options for kale is collard greens are really good, and it gives it a nice southern comforting taste. But certainly spinach could be. This has just got a little more of I think a little more of an earthy taste, but in a really, really good way. But we're not going to add that until this is simmered for 60 minutes, and then we're going to add that and let it go for 30 minutes. And then we're going to show you a trick to thicken it.
Totally.
And then we're going to eat. Oh my gosh, I tell you, I'm just stewing over this. It's so good.
I was waiting for the stew jokes.
That looks so beautiful. So good. I mean, so folks, let me just get you up to speed real quick. So, like we said, what we did was we just brought it to a boil, and then we lowered the heat and let it simmer for 60 minutes. And the smell is intoxicatingly
wonderful.
Delicious.
Yes.
And then, so after an hour, then we dumped in that kale, and it's like when you do spinach or any kind of a green like that, it starts off really big and then it just shrinks down. Mm-hmm. So that's what we've got right here. And isn't that just
that looks wonderful.
Beautiful? So now this is ready to eat right now. This is more of what I would call like a ham and bean soup.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, which is really delicious. But we like it a little more hearty and a little thickness to it. So here's a trick. So what we do is we just take it off the heat, and then I pulled out my food processor, or you could do your blender,
an
immersion blender, anything that's going to puree. And so then I just get like a sieve, and because you don't want a ton of liquid in there, but you can get all that ham and those beans, all of that, whatever, and then about 2 cups of it, and dump it in your food processor. Hit puree, and it just turns it into this lovely, lovely mixture, which is we're now going to just mix that in.
Yes.
And
that just thickens it up.
It's like now we've gone from soupy
to stew.
Talk about hearty. I mean, and that is, oh my gosh.
Yay, all right, come on now.
It's eating time. All right. Give me your bowl,
Yes,
Looney.
please.
All right. Now, you want nice big bowls for this because you're going to want to eat all this up.
Yes.
Now, these are certainly big bowls. All right. Oh, and it's a beautiful
That's
stew,
great.
stew too, and it's still got some liquid to it, which I like. It's not.
Yes.
It's not so thick.
And you know why I like that liquid?
Yes.
For this big crusty bread.
You've got, when you eat this stew, you've got to have some bread because it's just perfect for soaking up. I love the kale that's in there.
Okay, so
I'm gonna scoot this out of the way.
I'm gonna put this right here.
I've got flow right here.
I put together a nice picture for this wonderfulness.
That is beautiful.
You guys, I'm just salivated.
I know.
Look at all that wonderful deliciousness. Oh.
You know, we should start a food blog.
Call it wonderful deliciousness. That's all we say all the time.
It's wonderful
Deliciousness. Oh, wow. Okay, I'm going in. I just got to get a little bit of everything.
And I will say that I did do, like I always recommend before you serve it, did a taste sample. I cheated. And just because you want to taste the salt, and the salt was perfect. This ham was a little on the salty side, so it was perfect.
Ooh, it's hot.
You can handle it.
You say that.
Oh, I know, you're very sensitive. Makes you want to go light a fire, make a snowman. No, I'm not ready for that yet. I can feel it through osmosis, I think.
The smokiness of the ham. Oh, and then the heartiness of the beans and and I love that kale in there.
I know, they all work together.
The mustard adds this really nice, like, I want to say like German.
It's almost like a German undertone, I know.
That is just,
And
you
there's
guys.
just a little bit of heat, maybe just a tiny bit. I mean, don't be scared of the heat.
Yeah.
I mean, I shouldn't even
Nothing
say
I would write home about.
Well, that's good.
Wow. That is 100% Loon approved.
Yes!
And
We've
I
done
haven't
it
even
again.
dunked yet.
Oh, I know. Oh, gosh, I'm shooting the bread across. And
Now I'm dunking.
I
I love a good dunk.
I know you do. You were born to dunk.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Wow.
And it's so hearty. And this is one of those stews that it's even better the next day. Those flavors just continue to meld.
Oh, yes.
I love it so much.
Or like in, midnight when you want a snack. Wow. Now you can get this recipe on howtofeedaloon.com.
I could just marry this stew, but I won't because I'm already married. Anyway, go to our social media, like us, share us, do all of that great things. Make soup.
Tell your
make
friends about
stew.
Chris's dad jokes all the time.
Yes, if you want to hear more dad jokes, then tell your friends. Anyway.
Make stew, don't stew, make stew.
Make stew and don't be blue. All right, we've worked that to death. Bye, y'all.
Bye, love you.
Love you. Bread's good, too.
Yes.
Hey, everybody.
Hi, guys. Now, if you want to be a part of the Loon fun, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. And don't forget to hit that little bell icon so you won't miss a single recipe.
That's right. Oh, and speaking of recipes, if you want another amazing recipe like this, then just click right here.
Yeah, click.
Click.
Subscribe.
It's so much fun.